Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our segment two, focusing on medicine and law of our Little Leaders Career Exploration Series. My name is Nikki Anthony. I am the founder of Little Hands, Big Hearts, Little People Service Organization, and it is a pleasure for us to bring you this programming tonight. We have an awesome, wonderful, esteemed group of professional women that are leaders in their particular fields, and I'm so excited to have each of them join us tonight. Before we get started, I want to introduce my co-host. She's a cutie pie, very smart, very studious, and I love her very dearly. She's actually like a pre-med student in grade, but I'll let her share a little bit about that. So tell them who you are.
My name is Cameron. I'm in sixth grade and I go to Dr. School of Medical Arts.
So she is, her school is a magnet school, and the focus is medicine, medical arts. So thank you to all the medicine people and the lawyers here, the people representing law. Thank you for having my girl. If you have any questions for her, feel free to ask those. And we'll kind of jump in and get started. But before we do, I do want to have her share the mission statement for our organization. There's purpose behind our programming. So I'll let her share our mission statement and we'll move on.
The mission of Little Hands, Big Hearts Little People Service Organization is to develop little people into servant leaders who think beyond themselves for the greater good through explicit and intentional opportunities for character development, selfless service to others, and community-based volunteering.
Very good. So basically, our focus is to develop little people into future servant leaders by helping them to serve right now, to learn how to lead by serving right now. That is my passion. That's my heart. As an educator, it's something I pushed in the classroom, even like learning how to serve others. So it's just a part of who I am. It's a part of what I do. It's a part of what we do as an organization. Specifically on tonight, our purpose is to help families, help parents and guardians in engaging in what I call intentional planning for the future. As an educator, I do not believe, as a special educator, I do not believe that you just stumble on a bright future. I don't believe that. I believe that you are very intentional in what you do and how you do it. So part of that intentionality is preparing, right? And preparing for your future. So tonight, this program and this series is geared towards helping parents and loved ones with little people and not so little. We have junior leaders like him, but helping people to prepare intentionally for the futures of the children that they have in their lives. Okay, so with that said, I would love to have our esteemed and wonderful and gifted and talented panelists to introduce themselves. If we want, we can start with the panelists that are representing law, and then we can move into the panelists that are representing medicine, and we'll get into our questions. All right, Felicia.
My name is Felicia Williams. It is a pleasure to be here with Little Hands, Big Hearts. Thank you so much, Nikki and Cameron, for having us on. It's exciting to talk to the future little leaders. Again, my name is Felicia Williams. I'm the president of Fathers Rights Law. I am also an attorney. My law firm focuses on fathers. We help fathers maintain and make sure that they have access to create a meaningful and active role in the lives of their children. So I practice family law in Tampa Bay. I am a graduate of the University of South Florida, go Bulls. And I also attended the Ohio State University for law school. But even though I'm a Bull and I'm a Buckeye, I am a Rattler at heart. I went to FAMU High in Tallahassee. I'm from a small town called Havana, Florida. I am married to a wonderful guy. I have two boys, they're 9 and 7, and it is such a pleasure to be with you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Crystal?
Okay. And I will echo Felicia's sentiments. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Crystal McNeil. I am what is called a practice group manager for our corporate and transactional practices for what's considered a big law firm. We have over 1,300 lawyers represented over 22 locations in the United States, as well as locations in Asia and the United Kingdom. So I have always dreamed of working in the law sector, although I thought it would be as a lawyer. Through my education and just law experience has led me to practice group management. Educationally, I attended Wolfson Senior High School in Jacksonville, Florida, where we did have a law firm type of program, and then continued my education at the University of Central Florida, go Golden Knights in Orlando, Florida, where I studied legal studies, and continued my education at the George Washington University, where I received a master's in law firm administration.
Wow. Awesome. All right. Medicine. Dr. Ivory.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Ivory. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. Pretty much, I'm the movement expert. I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida. Duval. I'm a graduate of Terry Parker High School. Go Braves. After high school, I joined the military and I served in the United States Army for 8 years. And then I pursued my education in Richmond, Virginia. I'm a graduate of Virginia Commonwealth University. Go Rams. And then actually I moved back home to Jacksonville, and I went to the University of St. Augustine for physical therapy. So that's where I obtained my doctorate of physical therapy. I've been practicing now for 10 years. And 3 years ago, I went out on entrepreneurship, and I am the clinic owner of my own private practice, Journey to Harmony Physical Therapy, which I named after my 2 daughters, Journey and Harmony. We live here now in Tampa Bay, Florida, and we're in the Ruskin, Florida area. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Sorry, we had a difficulty. Iris, you can go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, ladies. My name is Iris Corns. Originally, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, but I currently reside in Jacksonville, Florida. First and foremost, I am the mother of a tiny human named Hayden, who keeps me on my toes daily. Academically, I attended the University of Tennessee at Martin in Martin, Tennessee. And I have a master's of cytopathology from UT Health Sciences in Memphis. So as you can see, I really love UT. Got my bachelor's and my master's degree from UT. Currently, I work at Baptist Hospital in downtown Jacksonville as a cytotechnologist. And I love what I do, and I can't wait to share more about what it is.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for sharing those introductions. So with that, we can just jump into our questions. Okay. Our first question is, what were some of your hobbies that you engaged in as a child that contributed to you becoming either a cytopathologist or PT or an attorney or practice manager? What were some hobbies that you engaged in?
So I think go ahead, Felicia.
Oh, no, please.
I think I've always had a passion for law, although I did not really fully understand at the ripe old age of 5 or 6 what that really entailed. I would always take the opportunity to watch Matlock or Law and Order. I still watch the reruns, for Law and Order. And so that really kind of ignited my passion for law, which as I grew older, expanded actually all of the whole breadth of the legal market and legal industry. But the initial interest was from a TV show.
Cool. Cool.
One of the hobbies that I've had, I've always been an avid reader. I'm from the country and I have a favorite tree that I actually used to read in. And the great thing about it is I can remember reading, I don't know, Dr. Seuss and all of those, all the way up to when I went home from law school, reading the thick law school books in the same tree. So I know reading was very helpful for me. And one of the other hobbies that I think I've always had, and this is what I think we should encourage girls to do, is that I have always been bossy and a protector. So I don't think I've always been telling people what they should do and weighing our options and planning. And I think that hobby of defending others have led me to a courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Wow, that kind of reminds me of myself too, just being like a natural leader and a boss and just wanting to be in charge. But just thinking about early days, and I guess you wouldn't call it a hobby, but things that I enjoyed doing when I was a child is just playing with my dolls and trying to fix them or solve the problem or, take one arm off and put, I guess you think of document stuff. I was always just trying to solve problems. And then now thinking back on it, and then, in my profession now, I've always been a problem solver. And I never would rest until I really could get to the bottom of everything. So just being a natural leader and solving problems.
For me, I would say that I am a natural nurturer. Of course, that's not a hobby, but I love to take care of people. That's always been something that I wanted to do. But most of the time when we think about that, we think like doctor. We have to be a doctor if we want to take care of somebody, or we would have to be a nurse if we want to take care of people. But there are so many careers in the medical field that really help people. We're nurturing people, but it's from a distance. It's the backstage, it's the backstage workers that are taking care of the blood and your urine and making sure everything is good going within your body. So I would say just having the love to nurture people.
Okay. So I heard leadership skills, I heard nurturing, I heard bossiness, which is not really bossy. That is a leadership skill. And
Assertive.
I think yes.
And I like that.
Where girls are bossy, like it's a problem, So if you have a bossy girl, I was a bossy girl, and I turned out fine, Thank you, ladies, for sharing that. Let's look at the next question. What skills do you think it's important for parents to look for and identify in their children or their child if it seems that they may show proclivities or any type of tendencies towards anything in medicine or anything in law? What are some attributes or characteristics that a parent should look for?
For law, I would say good writing skills and communication skills. And it doesn't always have to be what you expect standing on the stage. It's just communicating effectively your needs or wants or the wants of others. I think that's a really good skill to look out for. Someone who stands up and says what they think, and also good writers.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Yeah, skills that I think that parents should look, or if you notice that your child is just very caring and passionate and loving, wanting to go out their way to help. And then one also is empathy. Just having empathy for others and being able to put yourself in others' shoes and kind of feel what they feel and kind of understand what they're going through. I think as a physical therapist, empathy is one of our main qualities that we have to be able to, do great in our profession.
I'd like to expand on a little bit, just in terms of not necessarily specific to my role as a practice group manager, but working and supporting, working with lawyers as a whole, just understanding what they're having to go through. As in terms of big law, there's so many different professions inside of big law, that cover human resources, cover professional development. It covers just personal enrichment and personal growth that we don't necessarily think about as we are going through, just career choices or opportunities. So with regards to law firm support outside of being a lawyer, right, there are different opportunities for you that leadership, showing empathy, showing I won't say being argumentative, but being able to support your ideas and vocalize and articulate those ideas are important characteristics that can lead to different opportunities in a law firm.
Thank you. That was good. Awesome. We had this is great, Black Girl Magic. So great job, ladies. We also have a comment that says, this is so good. So awesome. Thank you for sharing. And did anyone else want to tackle that question before we move on?
I have something to add. I would say parents should look for children who have attention to detail. There's a lot of attention to detail that is needed for to work in the field of cytotechnology, because we are working with microscopes and we're working with very small specimens that we cannot see. So there are certain ways to do certain things, and you have to really be in tune and be willing to do those things. Also, someone who is an independent worker. Oftentimes, in a variety of settings, cytotechnologists work by themselves, or they can work by themselves. The expectation is that you can do, if something happens, you can do all the work in the lab yourself. So someone who doesn't mind working by themselves. And as an introvert, this is right up my alley.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Kim's going to read our next question. Go ahead.
Did you ever think that you'd become a medicine or law? If so, how early on in your life did you know that this was the career path you wanted to take?
Did you guys hear that? Do I need to repeat it?
I heard it.
You heard it.
Okay.
So I'll go first on this one. I never thought I would be a physical therapist. Let me tell you, growing up, these are the things I wanted to be. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be a police officer and a lawyer all at one time. I had no idea I would get into the medical field and become a physical therapist. But I actually, in the military, I was a military police officer. So I achieved that goal, check.
Yes.
I'm only 38, so it's still time to be an actress, check. And I just love what I'm doing. But the reason I brought that up is just to say the sky is the limit. Have all the dreams in the world that you want to be. Never stop dreaming. From being a child to even now being an adult, the sky is the limit. And even though you're in one profession doesn't mean you can't have hobbies and do other things. And I just encourage you, even if you have something that you want to be now, still keep exploring other options and keeping your mind open, because you never know once you become an adult, what you may kind of get into. And that's just what happened to me. Never even knew about physical therapy until a little later on in life. And then now I'm the owner of my own practice. So the sky is the limit. Dream high. Yeah. Dream high.
It really is. And I'm actually the opposite. In high school, I was a part of a summer program at FAMU called B&R. And every summer we went to study science with the expectation that we all were going to be medical doctors. And I had that notion. I was going to be a medical doctor. My sister is a medical doctor. Wow. But then I went to college and I felt lost, and I started volunteering with kids, and I loved the kids and became a teacher. And then I realized this education system was screwing my kids. So I went to law school in order to protect my kids. So that's how I ended up there. So yes, you may intend one thing and actually end up somewhere else, still exercising those same skill sets. So I agree. The sky is the limit.
I would like to piggyback a little bit off of what Dr. Ivory said. I I'm gonna be all the way honest. This is my second career. So prior to 2016, I had no idea what a cytotechnologist was. I had no idea. But this is what happened. I was working as a histotechnologist, which is related. They're related. Histotechnology is the study of tissue, and cytotechnology is the study of cells. So I was working as a histotechnologist, and I'm like really ambitious. I'm like always trying to figure out what I can be doing next. Like, what is the next thing I want to do? So I'm working, and I'm like, okay, this is getting to be boring. Like, this is I need to do something else. So I got on Google and I'm like, okay, let me see if I can find a school. So Memphis, I had no idea. Memphis had a dual program for histology and cytotechnology, and I applied for it. So I'm going because I wanted to get certified in histotechnology and to improve my skill set. So it was a dual program. I had to do both of them. So that is really when I found out about cytotechnology. And I feel like it was just a stroke of fate because when I started studying, I fell in love with it. So I think it's really just about exposure. I would have never known anything about it until I went into the field I was already in. So just being sure to keep educating yourself about what you can be doing. That's really how I came into this field, and I'm grateful.
That's awesome. All right. Does anybody want to talk about the power of exposure? That's something that I do definitely believe in. So, if anybody wants to piggyback off of that, just talk about how powerful being exposed to something, can direct your future.
I think of it in terms of how you spoke of with regards to intentionality. You're being intentional about the things that you're interested in, your interactions, and exposure is exposure to different careers, as well as understanding relationships and the power of your interactions with other people. Um, I would have never thought that this would be my career at this point in my life, the ripe old age of 39 with a almost 16-year-old. But um, having a, I guess it was one at the time, and then me deciding that I did not want to go to law school and manage his growth, that led me to a different career path. However, the people that I had relationships with, exposed me to the different opportunities that were available still working at my law firm, which I've been with, it'll be 15 years in January. And so the exposure and the intentionality happens over time, right? And you develop and you grow and you mature. So you can still stay focused, but don't be so short-sighted and so tunnel visioned that you lose out on the other opportunities that may be, kind of hanging on the side.
Mm, that's good. That's very good. All right. Communication. Felicia talked about communication earlier. What communication skills are required to effectively function in your specific field? So, as a PT, as an attorney, as a law manager, law group manager, as a cytotechnologist, what communication skills are important?
I know as in term of the law, whether it's orally or in writing, it's communicating your point in as few words as possible. A lot of times we're in court, we have limited time. Most of our briefs and motions have limited pages. You want to make sure you make your point, make it strong and brief. So that's very important. I've heard people say, be brief, be bold, and be seated.
As a PT, of course, having great communication skills and being able to communicate clear and concise and get your message across. But one key is active listening. So not just being a good communicator, but actually taking a step back and clearing your mind and listening to your patient and what they have to say. So no distractions, no interruptions, just sitting back and listening. So being an active listener is a great skill and a communication quality that is good to be a PT.
Good.
I would say being a laboratory professional, although we have to be able to work independently, we also have to be able to work as a part of a team. And a lot of times we don't get a chance to communicate face to face because the laboratory is normally 24 hours. So when you leave, someone else is coming in. So really it's more so about developing a good system so that everyone is on the same page and everybody knows what's supposed to be going on, because if not, there are errors that can be made. They can be detrimental. So having a good system is paramount.
That's good. Great. Chris?
Sure, I echo the sentiments of everyone. Just from an administrative standpoint, I think about the time of the lawyer, right? You know, they are beholden to the client, they're beholden to the rules of the court. Time is money, right? And so I have to be conscious of the word choices that I use so that it's clear and concise and quick. And no one wants to read a 5-page email. So, you know, it's not good for anyone. And then also on the flip side, we're still human at the end of the day. And so those who are still kind of trying to climb the legal ladder, trying to understand and navigate their career, also need someone to hear them. And sometimes that means hearing them not with words, but with actions. And sometimes I feel like I'm a psychologist, just thinking about the nonverbal communications. Has this person reached out? Have they reached out a lot? You know, is there something going on that they may not be able to articulate, but I can pull out and try and help them so that they can, one, do their job, but also to be comfortable in doing their job. So I think communication verbally, non-verbally, obviously written, concise is very important in the legal field and administratively.
That's good. All right. We'll have Cameron share the next question.
What character traits do you think that is necessary for your profession?
I'll go very quickly, and I'll just. I will say I think there are two sides of me, quite honestly. There's the bubbly, I like to dance, I like to sing, I break out in song, but then there's also the professional side. And so it's understanding when to turn it off and turn it on. As I mentioned, humanity is a character trait, and being able to bring it into a professional environment, especially what we have been experiencing through the pandemic, through the civil unrest, through just kind of being home, understanding that people are going through things, and just having that empathy, as Dr. Ivory mentioned before, is I think a very, very important character trait when I'm dealing with lawyers, dealing with professionals, understanding that they are beholden to someone else, right? And so the things that they may be going through are not necessarily personal to you, and their reactions to you are just, aren't personal, and kind of understanding the human aspect of interactions and not taking things to heart. So I guess to sum it up, just kind of being strong in who you are, understanding the room, reading the room, and understanding, how people relate, and being adaptive to that is important, especially in the legal field.
It's also very important in the medical field too, just to kind of continue with what you were saying, is just knowing how to adapt. Because as physical therapists, we work with babies, kids, adults, your senior citizens, and to work with each of those groups of people, you have to communicate and work with them differently. When you're working with children and babies, it's a lot of play and laughter and fun. Maybe when you're working with adults, it's a little fun, little jokes here and there, but a little more serious and on the professional side. If you're working with people right after surgery where they're in intense amount of pain, just knowing how to give a little TLC and a little nurturing, letting them know it will be okay, and we're here to help. So knowing how to adapt, also just being very kind and loving and caring and honest. Those are some key character traits that are very well for PTs.
Love that.
I want to kind of add to a word that's been used a lot, empathy, because when you work in the laboratory, you don't see a person. So if you're not thinking about it in terms of it being a person, you can easily be careless. So to me, it's very important that you maintain the idea that this is a person. It's not just a sample, it's a person connected to this. And since we screen for cancer, I mean, that's a very sensitive topic. You know what I mean? And so we just want to make sure that we're thinking about it in terms of not just a number, but this is somebody's mom, this is somebody's sister, and I aim to treat every specimen as if it was someone that I love. And I think that's very important for anybody who's working in the laboratory.
I think that one of the things that most people don't know about attorneys is that we're officers of the court and we're bound to uphold the Constitution and the laws. And so whether we are in public or private, we have to obey and uphold the law. And it's important to know now, I had a habit when I was in high school and having fun. This is for kids. When things turned criminal, I went home. Okay. So, my daddy wasn't coming to get me out of jail. So we can have fun, but we are not going to do anything outside of the scope of the law. And I think that is important to know, that when it comes to being an attorney, we have to pass what's called a character and fitness test. And you don't have to be perfect. So don't think that you have to be perfect, but you do have to, much more often than not, toe the line. When it comes to your finances, and also when it comes to your criminal and civil obligations.
I think Felicia brings up a good point. I know when I was growing up, social media was not as prevalent as it was now. Not to say that I would toe the line, but in high school or college, you go to parties, you have fun. And it seems like now everything is recorded. And so just being mindful as you grow, depending upon your age now, the things that you publish, the things that you post to social media, whether written or video, can have an impact, on your life. And in some instances, people may think it speaks to your character before they have an opportunity to meet you. So in those situations, just kind of be mindful of who you're around. My mom always said birds of a feather flock together, and just kind of being aware of your surroundings and the character of your friends, because that can play a role in your career advancement, much more than especially in the age of social media.
And I know, Crystal, you do this much more than I, but when we're hiring, the first place we go is social media. Okay, thanks for that resume. Let me see what you're doing on Facebook and Instagram.
Exactly.
So be careful, be mindful.
And everything, unfortunately, can't be explained away. So yes, be mindful of what you're doing.
Right. Our next question: is there any reason in the world why you would encourage someone to not go into your profession?
There is nothing I could say. No, I would never tell anybody not to be a side tech because I love it so much. But there are some things. Well, there's one thing I would say. There's one thing to be mindful of. It is hard to move up the ladder as in terms of management as it relates to being a side tech because, first of all, the field is very heavily regulated. So we have a lot of rules. We have a lot of rules because back in the day, people were doing things that they didn't have any business and we got in trouble. So we're heavily regulated. That being said, you have to have 3 years of experience before you can even be considered to be a supervisor. And 9 times out of 10, there are going to be several people in line before you for that position. So it's difficult to move up. Most people, they get in a position and they stay there until they retire. A lot of a lot of times, even at the same workplace. So that's the only thing. It's hard to move up. There are not many places for advancement.
I would encourage most people, I say most, to, look into physical therapy, but not only do you have to be a people person, you have to be comfortable with being close to people. I mean, you're touching people, you're in their personal space, they're in your personal space. And if you're a little uncomfortable with that or more of an introvert and don't like being as close to people, then physical therapy may not be for you because most of my work environment, I'm very close, even with the pandemic that we have going on, of course, taking all precautions that we have to take to keep ourselves safe. We're still working very intimate, close spaces with our patients and our peers. So just, if you're not comfortable being that close to people, PT may not be for you.
I think I would share that a number of attorneys that I know got into the practice of law because they really want to help people. So the one thing that I would warn of is that in undergraduate and in law school, that you absolutely minimize your student loan debt load. If you can work through school, work through school. If you don't have to borrow, don't borrow. Be smart, get a scholarship. But I would suggest that you limit your debt options because most of the people in the law are limited to what they can do because of their student loans, because not all lawyers make the same amount. Crystal works at big firms. They make well into the six figures, but the public interest lawyers, the ones that you watch on Law and Order, they make 50,000, 60, 80,000 when they're supervisors. The public interest ones, the ones doing great work and in the trenches make 60,000. And that's difficult to do if you owe $100,000 in student loans. So that's something I would encourage everyone to be mindful of, is to borrow as little as possible, if at all.
That's good. Good advice. Thank you.
I agree with what Felicia said, especially as it relates to big law. There is great earning potential. Also, be mindful with the earning potential. As public servants and attorneys for the people, I know they work long hours. So do big law. Sometimes 14, 15, 20 hours a day. And so, trying to find that balance. And even in my role, we are in review season. So it's weekends, it's nights, it's early mornings. I love it, so I don't mind. But, just in going through and seeking a profession, find things that you love and you love to do, because there are going to be sacrifices that you're going to have to make.
Okay. All right. We are kind of coming to the end of our segment. So I want to make sure that we give people time to know how, if they want to know more about your profession, if they want to know more about your practice, if they want to know more about anything you do on the side, any social media, that you have like a following for that explains more of what you do. I want to give you opportunity just to kind of share where people can find you if they need your services. Yeah, tell them all of that. Go ahead.
Well, I can be found at forthefathers.com. I'm social media averse, you probably can't tell. So I know I have a Facebook and maybe the law firm does too, and a Twitter and something, but I don't tweet. But you can reach me on forthefathers.com or email me at Felicia, Felicia, at fathersrightslawpa.com. I'll be happy to talk with you.
Yes, and if anyone ever has any questions or just would like my feedback or input on anything, you can also reach me through my website. My website is startyourptjourney.com. On my website, you'll find a little more about myself and all my links to my social media page. Again, I am in Florida. If anyone is local to the Tampa Bay area or anywhere, I'm easily reached by phone or email. So please, any questions is startyourptjourney.com.
Well, as for me, I actually produce a podcast about women's health and wellness. It's called Super Cyto Girl. I'm a cytotechnologist, so it's Super Cyto Girl. And it's all about women's health. So if you want to know more about the podcast, you can visit supercytogirl.com. You can find me at Super Cyto Girl on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you want to know more about cytology, you can go to uthsc.edu. That's my alma mater, and they have a full page of their program if you want to learn more about that. So, oh, and also let me just put this out there: the the program director at UT is a Black woman. So kudos to my Black girl magic going on at UT. She used to be my she used to be my professor, and now she's a program director. So I'm real proud of her, and she helped me get through some bad days. So I'm forever grateful. Her name is Keisha Barnett. Let me just give her accolades. Give her flowers.
I guess the best way to reach me professionally would be just on my LinkedIn, Crystal L. McNeil. That is McNeil with two L's. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have about the legal field. Um, that's about it. I'm also a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And, service is a part of, I will speak. I think we all serve our community in different ways through our professions and also individually. And I just say it's been an honor to be a part of this panel. I've learned a lot, and we represent beautiful women.
Well, now I have to give a shout out to my Divine Nine group, proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
So we are going to we're going to end. I want to say thank you so much just for you ladies joining us tonight and sharing about PT, about law, about cytotechnology. I've learned a great deal. I thank you so much for just having a heart to prepare the future. So I so appreciate each of you. If there's anything that we can do as an organization or I can do as an individual to support you, please let me know. I'm going to get your information and share it on our page to make sure that everyone has access to that. So everything that you just shared, just shoot me an email or a text and I'll get it on our page so that everyone can see it, okay? That's about it. I just want to thank you again for joining us. Thank you for joining us in the audience. We had some comments. Keep it up, queens. Love this. Be bold. Be seated. All of that. So thank you for your just sharing, joining us. And we are going to call it a night. And we'll see you next month. Next month, we're focusing on arts and aesthetics. And we have a great lineup of panelists next month: spoken word, modeling, media and marketing, what else? I think acting, like comedian. We got a lot of stuff lined up next month. So we'll continue our journey in this career exploration series. We hope that you'll stick with us. And we just wish you a great night, a great evening. If you're going trick or treating this weekend, please be safe. Just be mindful, be safe. And that's about it. Y'all have a wonderful night. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.